Hi, Michael. This is Linda. Thank you so much for submitting your essay. I really feel like you have a good essay here. You have some good ideas and some really great detail. And I'll talk about that more specifically in just a few minutes. So I do want you to review in your textbook and in my syllabus how to do a heading. I'd like you to add a title to this. In my editing here, you're going to see different marks. You'll see the red marks, and as you kind of scroll through here, you'll see some of these little blue marks, and then you'll also see some green. The green are the sentences that I feel are most connected to the bigger idea of your essay. I may have missed a few as I was going through, so if I catch them, I'll pull them in also. And the red ones are areas to correct. They're areas that I want you to look at again and correct. Now, I have crossed out several parts, especially in the beginning of your essay, and that's because when you write an essay for college or for work or anything, or any kind of writing, you don't ever want to tell the reader what you're going to do. What you want to do is just kind of really start into it. And I think what these first two sentences here represent is you just kind of getting started with your writing. So if you started your essay right here, I started playing baseball when I was a child. Child and around 5 years old is redundant, so take out one or the other. I started playing baseball when I was around 5 years old. That is a great start. It's a nice, sharp detail. Ever since I stepped on the diamond, I have fell in love with the game. Now we've got some verb issues going on here. Ever since I stepped on the diamond, I fell in love with the game. I still love the game as much as I did when I was a child. I may say something like, today, I continue to pursue my goals to work on a professional baseball program in the future. I have gained most of my literacy of baseball. Now, that's another telling part. Don't tell the reader that. You just want to show us. So I would recommend something more like this. Baseball is a language to me. I have learned this language by playing the game, watching the game on TV or in the ballparks, and by studying how professional players and coaches handle themselves. And now I have a thesis statement here. And I just took that information from everything that you said here, and I kind of condensed all of this into one sentence. So now, as a reader, I can see that you are going to talk about how baseball is your language and how you've learned it by watching and by studying the players and by playing the game. And so that's kind of what we want to work on. So here I've crossed all this out again because once again, you're telling the reader. Instead, just start off by saying, I love baseball. Baseball makes me feel comfortable and confident. Because of baseball, I am more diligent in school, more respectful of others, and I stay clean. And that's everything that you told me right here, but we've just condensed it down into one sentence. And then you're going to add this sentence to after this one, that you fix all this, okay? So that's going to get condensed quite a bit. Now, the strength of your paper is really in here when you start talking about all of these details. These are fabulous details. I can hear and smell and taste what you have happen. Now, what I do want you to experiment with is trying to use some different wording. Let me just show you kind of what I'm seeing as a reader. This is redundant. When you say the words, I see, I can hear, I can hear, I can hear, I can hear. You understand this is starting to become I can hear. So we want to come up with some difference. I can smell. Now what I love is that you are getting into those images. I can feel, I feel, I feel. Do you kind of see that? These are all redundants. Okay, so the way you fix that is by changing a little, just changing the sentences a little bit. So when we read this, the walls inside the building should be are blue and orange with big famous pictures taken of baseball players in action on the baseball field hanging on the wall. So you could take this out. A big indoor baseball field with batting cages is off around the corner. Take out that. Many different baseball players work on hitting and fielding with their teammates and coaches. The pop of the catcher's gloves from the pitchers working on their mechanics and pitching grips on the mound. The smack of the bats from the multiple players. Do you see what's happening? What you're doing now is instead of putting emphasis on these passive verbs, you're allowing the word like smack and pop and talking and parents waiting and yelling, those become the most important verbs in the sentence. So really, mostly you could just take these things out. And if the sentence doesn't work, like if you need to add a verb in there or something like that, then think of something more interesting than just saying, I can, I can, I can. Does that make sense? So look at that throughout the whole essay. Now, again, you are doing that whole telling thing right here, so it's good that you're looking at the big picture, but why don't you try something like this? Baseball makes me feel like a winner. I remember when I was walking up to home, and I just kind of go right here, and this is when you talk about that moment when you turned and that's how you fell in love with the game of baseball. And that's how it changed, how this moment changes you. So you want to specify. You never want to start off a paragraph with this. From the time I hit my first home run, baseball has changed me. And that's, and you can just go on and here. And then you also acknowledge that there are sometimes some disappointments. I think that this should probably be a new paragraph here, okay? And then you kind of wrap things up. Now, what I'm looking for is that your paragraphs have a topic sentence somewhere in them that kind of relate back to your big idea. And your big idea is that baseball has provided you with a specific kind of language and knowledge and power. And that's what we want to focus on, okay? So, yeah. So I hope that this helps you. I want you to also open up, there will be a Word document that is a rubric of how I will grade the final essay. I want you to take a look at that and see how you're doing so far. Don't become undone by it because it's not about A, B, C, and D. It's more about process and thinking. And so don't try to correlate that with a grade at this point. All right, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.